Welcome back to the channel, everyone. So today's project is one I've actually been planning for quite a long time now, and I'm really excited to start it. I have this Hitachi C10 FCH2 miter saw, and the miter saw just recently stopped working. Pull the trigger, nothing happens. So we are going to see if we can fix it. My biggest assumption is that it is actually the trigger switch. So we're going to pull this apart and see if that is in fact what the problem is, and then get that part on order and get it replaced. I have seen people in the past, my grandfather actually had a similar problem and just simply wired straight across it and just hooked it up to a power strip and put the power strip on when he wanted to use it. But I think in this case we're actually going to get the correct switch for that and get it replaced. So the first step is to remove the screws that hold this top plate on, and it looks like it's set up so that you can very easily get to this area. It appears to be just the 6 screws. We're holding that down, so we'll take those out and just lock this in so it stops flopping on me. We'll take that out and see what we got underneath, and we'll show you how to test that and how we can replace it. There we go. So we do appear to have a control circuit in there too. Here is our power switch, and let's check that first. Lots of different ways you can check it. You could measure for power across it. This wire is actually going to the laser, which broke when it was dropped at some point. And I think, yeah, this box here is power for the laser. Don't worry about that. We're looking just straight at power coming in and then running into this. And this goes straight to the motor to power the motor down through here. So we've got 2 wires coming in from the outlet. Got black and white. White's our neutral. It's tied to the red, and that's going down to the motor. And then we have the white line is also going to our laser control, our laser circuitry, which we don't need to worry about. There's a switch over here, just if you're interested for turning the laser on and off. And that appears to have the hot line coming into this, and it feeds into that switch and then into the laser control. So that's where that comes from. So we've got only the hot line coming, and then that switch takes this hot line and then feeds it into the blue or the yellow line. So let's hook up our meter and see if we have anything across that. And what I have here is a standard voltmeter with continuity tester. So we are going to get my fingers out of the way. We're going to just check and make sure that it's working, and it is. Okay. Now, of course, you definitely want to make sure you're unplugged for this. I am going to hold one terminal onto my hot line, and then the other one onto one of these outputs. That one's working. Then the other one, that one's working. So I just confirmed the switch is good. So we may have a bad motor here. The next thing we're going to need to test is to see if we have voltage coming into this. I don't believe there's anything wrong with the cord. I didn't see anything wrong with the cord, but we can test for voltage and see if we have actual voltage coming to this. And worst case, we may have a wire broken somewhere, or very worst case, the motor's burnt out, which I did not expect, but let's find out. And again, the first thing we want to do is see if we actually have power coming to our line here. So we know the switch is good, or we suspect the switch is good. We get continuity there. It doesn't mean it can push as much voltage as it should across that. I don't see any reason why it wouldn't if it's showing that there's continuity. So to reiterate, our neutral is the white line here, and we should be able to get one of our terminals stuck into here. We're going to set our voltage to AC. And it is reading 0 right at the moment, as we suspect. And then we can test voltage here to see if we have 120 volts once I get this plugged in. I've decided to add a little extra safety into the mix, and I have plugged the saw into a power strip with an off-on switch. Check my connection here. We're still good. Zoom out a little bit. And I have power here, and I have power at the switch. All right. Which tells me that it's not the wire. This is good. Now I'm gonna have to set the phone down, but if you're doing this yourself, you could just pull the trigger and check the wire. I'm gonna check the blue wire and the yellow wire. Okay, so apparently there was something loose wire-wise because I have a working switch now. Good question. Perhaps one of these was wiggled loose. So that was probably the easiest fix that I've done in a really long time. Yeah, let me unplug these. I've got the switch off now. I'm gonna unplug these wires, probably some corrosion on them perhaps. Looks like there could be. So we'll unplug those, plug them back in, put the cover on, and we may be working. Just that simple. And it does appear to be exactly what the problem is. If you look at this pin, I took one of the wires off. It's very corroded. So we're going to clean that up. We'll try using a pencil eraser to clean that up and put the terminals back on. These unplug. There's a little release tab here. If I can get it to focus, a little release tab to push down on, and then it'll slide right off. So we'll clean that up, we'll plug it back in, and we'll see if it still works. That looks a lot shinier. Plug this one back in. And these two do the same thing. Again, there's a little release tab there. Not sure if I can. I need about 6 more hands here. So we'll get that held just right. Push down that release tab and then it slides right off. And then we can clean that terminal. Is also pretty cruddy. And that looks a lot better now. And I'm just using a pencil eraser. This is a trick you learn in electronics, is using a pencil eraser on these coated connections, so it doesn't like grind off the coating that they have on those, whether it be a gold coating or whatever you may be when you're working with electronics, or in this case electrical. The pencil eraser will give it a nice clean finish and take the crud right off without damaging anything that you're working on. So with that done, we'll do the last one and then we'll put it back together and we'll see what happens. And just to show you this last one, that's the hot line. No, that's the yellow line. And that's probably one of the worst of all. It is, as you can tell, look on the one next to it, extremely cruddy and corroded. Okay, I've got the wires all fed back through. These are all clean and ready to go. Let's plug this back in for, I think, the last of the screws and confirm that we are still operational. Power to our power strip. We've got a working saw once again. I'll sink these last screws. All's right with the world. This is all fixed. It is a functioning working saw now and ready to go back into service.